Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty hefty, excerpts from Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra.
Yeah, it's definitely one of his big ones. Often called his masterpiece, really philosophy, but also like literature, art, almost.
Right, he was trying that whole artistic Socrates thing he mentioned earlier. So our goal today is to get into this story and pull out some core Nietzschean ideas. Ideas that, let's be honest, can be pretty confusing sometimes.
Definitely. And the central figure, Zarathustra, Nietzsche picks that name very deliberately. He's named after the founder of Zoroastrianism.
Because Nietzsche thought that's where things started to go wrong for Western culture, the whole good versus evil thing.
Exactly. That cosmic split, the idea of a final judgment, Nietzsche saw that as a foundational error.
So he brings Zarathustra back in this book to kind of set the record straight, offer a new philosophy.
That seems to be the idea. And he uses imagery from Zoroastrianism, but twists it, like that narrow bridge over the abyss.
Yeah. But with a totally different meaning here, right? Yeah.
Precisely. It becomes a symbol for something else entirely. So for this deep dive, we're focusing on three key concepts from the passages we looked at: the Overman, the will to power, and eternal recurrence.
All pretty famous and often misunderstood. Let's start with the Overman, the Übermensch.
Okay. First thing, it's not Superman.
Right. Even though the comics definitely borrowed the name. So what is it then?
Well, Nietzsche sees it as the next step for humanity and evolution. But crucially, it's not a physical thing.
Not like growing wings or something?
No. He thought humanity was in this deep crisis, spiritually, philosophically. And the solution wasn't biological change, but a whole new way of thinking, a completely different attitude to life itself.
So fundamental shakeup. It means questioning, like the whole Western tradition.
Pretty much. And that ties into the start of the book, where Zarathustra comes down from his mountain cave.
Which is interesting because usually caves are bad in philosophy, right? Plato's cave.
Exactly. Nietzsche flips it. Zarathustra's cave is where he found wisdom. He descends to share it. It's an inversion.
And he talks to the sun when he comes out.
Yeah.
That feels significant.
Very. The sun is a huge metaphor for the Overman. It just gives, constantly overflowing, light, energy, without asking for anything back.
Like a kind of generosity of spirit.
Yeah. But to get there, Nietzsche says, the soul has to go untergehen, which also means to perish.
So a kind of death is necessary, like letting go of the old self.
That's the idea, a self-overcoming, shedding the old ways to become, well, sun-like.
Okay, so Zarathustra tries to teach this in the town, and it doesn't go well.
Not at all. He looks at the people and sees basically a polluted stream. He thinks the pollution comes from this obsession with an afterlife, denying this life, despising the body.
And the Overman is the cure for that sickness.
That's his hope. It's about embracing this world, this life. But then you get that tightrope walker scene.
Ah, yes. Over the abyss. What's that representing?
It's us. Modern humanity, especially after the death of God, the loss of those old certainties, we're balanced precariously.
On a rope between.
Between the ape, our past, and the Overman, our potential future. Man is the rope, the transition. The Overman is the goal, the bridge we're crossing.
So it's the process that matters, the going over and going under.
Exactly. That striving, that overcoming is what Zarathustra values.
But the crowd doesn't buy it.
Yeah.
They want the last human.
Right. They laugh at him. They want comfort, contentment, no goals, no struggle, just sameness, easy living.
Which is the total opposite of the Overman.
The absolute antithesis. It's choosing stagnation over growth. So the Overman isn't about ruling others. It's about mastering yourself, creating your own values when the old ones are gone.
Okay, that clarifies things. It's a challenging idea. Let's shift to the will to power, another term that gets misinterpreted.
Hugely. People immediately think it's about wanting to dominate, control, political power.
But it's not that simple.
Not for Nietzsche. It's way more fundamental. It's not something you choose to have. It's like the basic driving force in all living things.
Like an instinct.
Yeah.
Or deeper than that.
Maybe deeper. It's just inherent. The real question isn't if you have will to power, but what kind it is. What's its quality? How does it express itself?
And human evolution, for him, involves changing that will to power, too.
Yes. Transforming it. He talks about this on the 1,000 Goals in One. He looks at different cultures, different peoples, and he says each one creates its own tablet of good and evil, its own values.
So morality isn't universal, it's created.
Yes, and it's created by that people's will to power. It's the force within them that decides this is good, this is bad. It's the drive to value things, to create meaning.
So it's less about grabbing power and more about defining what's important, creating a world.
Exactly. It's that fundamental valuing drive.
Yeah.
Without it, life wouldn't have any direction, any preference. It's essential. It's the engine of meaning making.
Okay. That's, yeah, a very different take than the usual one. Right. Third concept, eternal recurrence. This one always sounds the most out there.
It is pretty mind-bending, yeah. And it's strange. Some scholars almost seem to, like, skip over it.
Really? But wasn't it super important to Nietzsche? Isn't the whole book kind of structured around Zarathustra dealing with this idea?
Absolutely central. The core drama of the book is Zarathustra's struggle to accept this thought. And it ties into the will to power, actually. If you really affirm life, really will your existence, wouldn't you will it eternally? Even the hard parts.
And it pops up first not in Zarathustra, but just before it, in The Gay Science.
Correct. Right at the end of book 4. Its placement is key. And right after introducing it, Nietzsche writes, incipit tragodia.
The tragedy begins. So he saw Zarathustra as a tragedy.
A tragedy, yes, but maybe one aimed at transforming the audience. A kind of philosophical catharsis.
Okay, so what is the idea? The most abysmal thought.
Imagine some demon tells you, this life you're living now, every single detail, good and bad, every joy, every pain, you're going to live it again and again, infinitely. Exactly the same way.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot.
It's crushing, potentially.
Or
liberating. That's the question. How would you react?
I can see why he called it abysmal. How does Zarathustra confront it?
It happens on the vision and the riddle. He's at this symbolic gateway of the moment, past and future stretching out. And weight of recurrence hits him. That leads to the vision.
The man with the snake in his throat?
Ugh. Yeah, a pretty horrifying image, often interpreted as recurrence itself, this awful thing lodged in your throat that you have to somehow bite through, overcome, embrace.
And this struggle connects to overcoming resentment, revenge against time.
Deeply. It's about accepting the unchangeable past. Can you affirm everything, even knowing it will all repeat? That's the ultimate test of life affirmation.
Does he manage it? Does he accept eternal recurrence?
He does. Towards the end, particularly in the 7 Seals, he gives his great yay and amen to it. He affirms everything. And in the 4th part, he's finally ready to teach it, having overcome his own final hurdle, which was pity.
Pity for others who couldn't handle the thought.
Pity even for the higher men who represent partial steps but can't fully embrace life in this way. He has to move beyond that too.
Okay, so let's try and pull this together. We've looked at the Übermensch, this philosophical evolution, not physical. Mastering yourself.
Right. Creating values in a godless world.
Then the will to power, not just dominance, but the basic life, drive to value, to create meaning.
The engine behind those values, yeah.
And finally, eternal recurrence, this incredibly challenging idea about affirming all of life every moment infinitely, confronting time itself.
Exactly. They're tough ideas, no doubt, but they really get to the heart of Nietzsche's critique of our culture and his radical vision for what humans could become.
It definitely gives you a lot to think about, how we grow, where our values actually come from, how we relate to, well, now. So maybe the thought to leave with is this. Thinking about Nietzsche, what drives your values? What is your will to power creating? And if you had to live this moment again, forever, how does that change how you see it right now? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining this deep dive.
Guys, see you in another podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.